Now, many people will agree that parenting is a task that cannot be taken lightly. However, in many quarters, especially in the 21st century, it is argued that being high-handed does more harm than good in helping parents form bonds with their children. So today we ask, where really does one draw the line between parenting and being friends with your children? Now, child wellness expert Chris Errol will be answering this question this morning. So 21st century, what you hear nowadays is, oh, I'm friends with my children, so that they can tell me anything.
Yeah.
But how do you draw the line, especially when you want to discipline your children and get them to continually respect you? Where does it begin?
Let me start by asking you a question, if that's okay. You're a parent, right?
Yes, I am.
Your child has come up to you before and goes like, Daddy, are you my friend? Or goes like, Daddy, I'm your friend. How does that make you feel?
It's a good feeling, but it's
right?
also because either they want something from you or, you know. So
but the bottom line is, Daddy, are you my friend? Or Daddy, you are my friend. You know, there's a feeling it gives, right? That's exhilarating at best. And that's where it should end, really. Right. That's where it should end, because in reality, you can't afford to be friends with your children. Now, just as you said, 21st century parenting, you know, you have to be open to your kids. Your kids have to feel comfortable talking to you. Yeah. Fine. Now, you can do that and still be a parent. The mistake a lot of people make, I do believe that one can be friends with their children, number one. Let me get that clear. I do believe. But because a lot of people do not know where to draw the line, it's easier to say, please don't be friends with your kids. Be a parent instead. Right. Now, what a parent does is, a parent brings stability to a child's life. A parent brings authority to a child's life. What you should do as a parent is mentor. You're supposed to help that child know limits and set limits. Exactly, because a lot of times what you find then is a child trying to assert himself because they feel like... We are peers. We're on the same level, so I can tell you anything. Do you understand? Exactly. There's no authority. And the moment you've already given the child that power, that, hey, you and I are one. We make decisions together. We're friends. We hang out. We talk about so many things together. The child will no longer see you as a form of authority over him. That's why you find children rebel against their parents, right? And then you have parents always complaining, why can't I get him to do, you know, what I want him to do? You can't, because you have already removed that layer of authority in the relationship that you have with him. But let's talk about the makeup of certain kinds of children. There are children that are very talkative naturally, very outgoing. So those ones are a bit more expressive when it comes to their parents and all of that. And sometimes, especially in Africa, you can term some of them as rude because they're outspoken, right? But then you have other children who are a bit more quiet, a bit more reserved, a bit more mellow. And so you can then term those ones as respectful. So how do parents, so if a parent has one of each of these kinds of children, how do you manage, especially you know, based on this topic that we're talking about, which is helping them be friends with you and then also establishing authority? Okay. Now, there's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to parenting. Just as you have stated, children are different characteristics. They are individuals in their own rights. Now, where we say you should be friends with your kids, in quotes, is that you need to get to know your children. And your children need to also get to know that you know them and you wish them well. That is where the friendship part comes in. When they know that. Now, you have a child that's talkative, you have a child that's rambunctious, that's all over the place. That child can actually be controlled. Do you understand? Now, a lot of times what we do is we just assume that, okay, that's how he is, you know, so we allow the child be what they want to be. Already, you're removing that aspect of parenting that you need to integrate into your child, which is the aspect of control. Right. You need to let your child know, hey, when you're home, you can do this. When you're not home, you can't do that. You can jump on the chairs. Do you understand? I've seen kids who are rambunctious at home, but when they go out, they are calm, because they realize that we are not home, so we need to respect ourselves. We need to act accordingly. When you teach children respect for people, respect for other people's spaces, respect for people's time, you know, it makes a whole lot of difference. Now, for children who are mellow, it's very easy for those children to be so withdrawn, you know, to be so internalized that they find it difficult to express themselves. For those kinds of kids, there's a way you can actually reach out to them. Again, you know them. You know what it is that actually tunes them. So you visit that aspect of them and break it, and also let them know that they are safe with you.
All right, so let's talk about communication, because that's also a big area. A lot of parents who want to be friends with their children and who, you know, try to embrace their children in that way, say it's because of communication. They want a situation where no matter what's going on with their child, they are aware, or the child feels free to be able to come and tell them. Now, in a situation where, so they compare it with in a situation where the parent is an authority figure.
Yeah.
So something is going on that is wrong with me. Then because I feel like my father or my mother may disagree or disapprove,
so
they don't come. I don't say I don't come with that information. What do you have to say to that?
You have a mentor, don't you? I'm sure you do have a mentor. A lot of people have mentors. Now, your mentor is not someone that you're afraid to talk to. Your mentor is not someone that you are so scared. If you're going through a rough patch, maybe you've had like a guideline and you go through a rough patch and then maybe you fall along the side. He's not someone that you're scared to, you know, share that with. That's how parenting should be. A parent is, first of all, a child's first mentor, a child's first coach. Now, if my child finds it difficult to talk to me about the challenges they are facing, then I have failed as a parent. The problem we have is a lot of us judge. We judge ourselves, we judge our children, to the point that the kids become scared. That's why they're scared, because mom is going to judge me. Mom is not going to understand. Mom is not going to know that, oh, he's going through a rough patch or something, but she's going to judge me. She's going to make it look like it's my fault. Now, that's a part of parenting that a lot of us need to steer away from. If not, we're sending our kids to the other side. They now find themselves more comfortable talking with others that can actually embrace them the way they are.
Exactly. So how do I find a balance then? So how do I find a balance between being friends with my child and then ensuring that, like you said, I'm a mentor, an authority figure, and also ensuring that I have and I command the kind of respect that, you know, is demanded of them?
There's something called reaction formation. What that means is you try not to bring up your kids the way you were brought up. Right. And a lot of times we overcompensate. For instance, if we're brought up in a very strict environment, you now try to be very friendly with your children. Now, if you're brought up in an environment that was too free, maybe your parents confided in you too much and then you were overwhelmed by all that, you now feel that, okay, with this one, I can't do that. I have to be strict. Right. Then you begin to overcompensate, and that's where the reaction formation comes in. And that is a problem in itself. For instance, now, my son comes to me and reports and says that, oh, teacher A, I don't like teacher A. Teacher A is always giving me this role. He's always giving me that role. And I go like, man, teacher A is stupid. How can teacher A do that? Already, I've done something wrong, right? What I've done is appeal to his emotional side. So as far as my son is concerned, man, mommy understands me. We are vibing. We're on the same page. But I go to my son and I say, teacher A did that to you. He says, yes. I said, fine. You know, there are rules for a reason, right? So even in my own days, there were some rules that I was given in school. I didn't enjoy them, but I had to. Right. Because there are rules, and that's what we do. We follow rules. What have you done? You have already taught your child authority, respect for authority. You might not agree with what the teacher did, and you've already said that you're not happy with it. But what you've taught the child is, see, you know, this is authority.
You have respect for authority wherever you find
that. So I, on my own, can go behind and talk to the teacher and say, teacher, why did you do this? Why does this rule exist? So those are the little ways that you can. Now, a lot of parents who are going through issues, maybe they have separation issues with themselves, you know, spouses, they're going through a divorce. They find it so easy to latch onto their kids for dear life. You find that they are now confiding in their children, things they shouldn't confide in their kids. And they go like, and kids are not mentally capable. And
ready for such information.
Confidentiality. So you've overwhelmed them. And what you have done is basically brought onto the child a feeling of guilt. Okay, it's because of me.
Right.
If not, why is mommy telling me? Why is she telling me? Why is she telling me that daddy is this or mommy is that? Now, it's very, very easy for spouses who are going through a rough patch, or maybe who have like who are going through a rough patch.
To overburden the kids with too much information. We'll have to sort of end it there.
Oh,
this morning. But I'm sure that that conversation can continue on social media.
Yeah, of course.
And also, hopefully, you join us again in a few weeks
definitely.
to round off this very important conversation. Thank you so much, Chrisara, for joining us. Thank you.